Welcome back to your Heat latest on FanArc. I'm Sam Shapiro. If you haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy yet, congratulations, you're living under a rock. You can actually get started downloading the app today by using this QR code right here on your screen and looking at a number of picks, whether it's college ball, NBA action, and more. Regardless, if you use promo code BasketballFan, you could score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. So thank you to Underdog for sponsoring today's video. And we're going to kick off this Thursday's episode with more talk surrounding the potential expansion in the NBA, adding a team in Las Vegas and Seattle, I believe in 2028-29. The idea of what an expansion draft could look like and potential rules that a lot of teams would have to abide by in making sure that those two teams are ready to go for the tip-off of the season they're introduced. The NBA's current, at least some rules that I had seen floating around social media included, expansion teams will get to steal unprotected players from teams. Teams can protect 8 of their players. Teams can't protect players on expiring contracts or restricted free agents. Only 1 player can be taken per team. Contracts transfer as they are. And expansion teams get good NBA draft chances at the number 1 overall pick. I think some of these rules are game-changing, no pun intended. That I do like that teams can at least elect to protect up to 8 players. So if you want to protect your starting 5, pretty much hands off of those players. That's, again, if these rules do come to fruition, which, again, it doesn't really seem like they're set in stone right now. Another rule that really popped off, only 1 player could be taken per team. So ultimately, it seems like at least 1 player would go from every team. Kind of following that, it might have sounded kind of silly saying that out loud like that. But I just think that also, I brought this up on an earlier episode too. You can't, make jokes about what players from the current rosters we're seeing through the 2025-26 season would look like right now, because in a couple of seasons, most of those players will most likely be on different teams. But I thought it was also interesting to see Brent Siegel reporting, once again, all the expansion rules you are seeing pertaining to an expansion draft are all what has happened in the past over 20 years ago. The NBA and Board of Governors will obviously change the criteria and rules as they see fit once expansion gets approved. So, reading off some of these rules, drop in the comments, are these expansion draft rules fair? What do you guys think? Because I think at least some of the rules I had mentioned are somewhat fair. I don't necessarily, there wasn't anything that I would say popped off the page to me that kind of, highlighted the fact that any of these rules were extremely unfair. Maybe that these teams getting promised good odds for the number 1 pick might be a little unfair, considering how bad some of the other teams in the lottery stacked up against them might look. But again, we'll just kind of have to wait and see what rules move forward, how the voting kind of shapes up and everything in between. But again, drop in the comments if you think some of these suggested rules floating around social media are fair or not. Another subject of conversation that I wanted to talk about involves Miami's recent play and how their 2-game losing streak now was, I feel like, a clear-cut indicator on how this 7-game win streak Miami was riding prior to the 2 losses against Orlando and Charlotte kind of made them look like imposters a little bit, or it at least made it look like the least strong 7-game win streak I have seen from Miami in a number of seasons, because going into these 2 games, I emphasized the importance on Miami needing to win these 2 games against Orlando and Charlotte. And what did they do? They lost pretty much in the same fashion to Orlando the other 4 times they played them this season. And then with Charlotte, a team they've beaten 3 times already this regular season, they don't only lose, they get blown out in embarrassing fashion, 30 points on the road. That's unacceptable when you're making making statements outright that we don't want to play in this tournament. We don't want to be there. We want to get out of the play-in. Well, congratulations. Following the loss to Charlotte on Tuesday, you've punched your ticket back into the play-in tournament, at least from what I saw. And the next team right behind you, the Atlanta Hawks, from what I saw last, looking at their record before going into last night's matchup with the Magic, 37-31. You know what Miami is? 38-31. So if you're looking to find your way out of the play-in tournament, with the Magic being that last team at 38-30, good luck if you're not planning on at least winning your next 3 or 4 games. That's all I've got to say to Miami. And quite honestly, I'm so tired of hearing we don't want to play in the play-in tournament. Them winning enough games to make it seem like you can get out of there, and then losing, 1, 2, maybe 3 crucial games that kind of just re-solidify Miami is not capable of beating the teams that they need to beat to continue moving forward upward in the Eastern Conference. So, congratulations to Miami for now finding a way back into the play-in tournament with this loss against Charlotte on Tuesday. And hopefully they can regain some of this momentum back in tonight's contest. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. But really frustrating to see Miami back in the play-in. And for the love of God, win these games so you can get the hell out of the play-in already. Anyway, going to dive into some more drama regarding Giannis Antetokounmpo and a potential another trade that Miami could look into this offseason. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty with that, just going to take a moment here to give a shout-out to the sponsor of today's video. And yep, you guessed it right, it is Underdog Fantasy. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Now, playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Now, this week on Underdog, I am looking at tonight's matchup, ironically, where the Charlotte Hornets are taking on the Orlando Magic. I am selecting Desmond Bane for higher than 19.5 points, and I am selecting LaMelo Ball for higher than 19.5 points. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code BasketballFan. It's all on Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
Okay, I needed to address this here on the channel because I had seen reports coming out about it over the last 2 days following when Antetokounmpo is now sidelined for another week with a new injury, and now there are talks of potentially Antetokounmpo being shut down for the season. At least that's what the Milwaukee Bucks are saying that they want at this point in time. But, this move, at least for Antetokounmpo being shut down, could be the Bucks trying to save him from seriously having a, major injury with over the course of the rest of this season, which at this point kind of seems like a little bit of a lost hope. But seeing another injury potentially sideline him through this next week, it's seeming like from the reports I'm looking at right now that Antetokounmpo does not want to be shut down for the rest of the regular season. But I honestly could not blame Milwaukee following now another injury that's going to sideline Antetokounmpo for the next week, that they would want to go ahead and do that. Because if there's any hope that Antetokounmpo is, which I feel like more of the hope leans towards this outcome, if Antetokounmpo does decide to stay in Milwaukee, you're at least getting a healthy Antetokounmpo at the beginning of the 26-27 regular season. Unfortunately, the guy wants to play and wants to try to win. At this point, I just think that it wouldn't. Now the Bucks seem a decently far ways away out of trying to crack into the play-in tournament. So it might be in Milwaukee's best interest to go for that if they're planning on keeping Giannis, which is why I think these reports are coming out. Piggybacking off of that, that's why I don't think Giannis being shut down as a Heat fan gives me any hope that a deal is going to get done, because I've seen that tweet floating around all day today. Miami get it done. At Miami Heat get it done. The Bucks shutting down Giannis. Miami, you know what to do. For the love of God, stop. Just stop it. They didn't do anything with Kevin Durant last summer. The only thing we did do was Norman Powell. And this trade deadline, we did absolutely nothing. When all the writing, momentum, everything in between was on the wall to make something happen. So, unfortunately, whether Giannis Antetokounmpo gets shut down tomorrow, next week, in 2 weeks, doesn't really matter to me, to be completely honest. Doesn't give me a whole lot of hope that anything is going to happen over the course of the next couple of months in bringing the Greek Freak to South Beach. Drop in the comments if you guys disagree with me or agree with me, because I personally don't have any hope that a deal is going to get struck. But never say never, I guess. I don't know. Lastly, I want to talk about another perfect trade that Bleacher Report is suggesting that Miami kind of looks into, and the highlight of the deal suggests trading Tyler Hero to the Houston Rockets for Jabari Smith, which I think could definitely benefit Miami in a number of different facets. If you're looking at a scenario where you're keeping Norman Powell and you're trying to part ways with Tyler Hero at the end of this regular season. So the full deal that I saw would have the Rockets getting Tyler Hero and a 2026 first round pick in exchange for Jabari Smith Jr. and Reed Shepherd. You're getting Shepherd at least in that backcourt, so you're getting somewhat of a decent scorer that I think could develop into a even stronger scorer in his next season of play, regardless of what team he's going up with. Being added to Miami's backcourt, I think, would be a very solid addition. But I think Smith Jr. would be an even better acquisition for Miami, because, in my opinion, he could be an even better version of what the Heat were hoping Nikola Jovic was going to be this season. I think they were definitely expecting a solid two-way, 6'10" forward to be efficient on both sides of the ball. And unfortunately, that isn't anything we've come close to seeing out of Nikola Jovic this upcoming season. And unfortunately, now he's on a pretty nice payroll with Miami. But I think Jabari Smith, who is also, he's 6'11". He's got an inch on Jovic there. 6'10" power forward, versatile two-way glue player that has elite floor spacing, but also has shown elite rim protection ability as well. So I think in terms of looking for a player that can get it done on both sides of the ball, having a player that, well, the hope was for Jovic to develop into a starter this season. You've already got a starting caliber forward in Jabari Smith that you could easily just plug into your 4 spot, then have that flexibility with Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware. Obviously, personally, I like Bam at the 4 a little bit better, but then you could move Jabari to the 5 spot and have Kel'el Ware kind of come off your bench. You would really have a true big man in your front court with the acquisition of Jabari Smith. Then you could maybe shop Jovic if there are teams that would actually want to bite on him, because right now, given the stat line he's put up, I don't necessarily know if a lot of teams would. So, I definitely like this Bleacher Report trade that was suggested more than what I had talked about on Tuesday with Ja Morant, because I still think there's a lot of question marks. I think you're definitely getting a lot of more certainty in what you're acquiring if you decide to go for that deal with Jabari Smith Jr. That's going to do it for this Thursday's episode of your Heat Latest on FanArc. Don't forget to drop a like on this video, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. I'm still chasing 600 subs, and I really need your help to get there, so please click that subscribe button. It really helps me out. And we've got great daily content all right here, Monday through Friday, that you don't want to miss. Thanks again so much for joining us. I'm Sam Shapiro. Have an awesome Thursday.